Hello and welcome. My screen name is Covert Muffin, and this is going to be a submission video for AGDQ 2020 for Uplink. Uplink's a PC game that came out a while ago. It's a pretty old game, and basically I am going to be playing as a elite Paxor. And so here I'm going to be joining this agency known as Uplink, which is a group of hackers who get together and do things for fun and profit, and I'm going to be trying to raise my stature and potentially save the world. So here I'm going to pick a location for my starting hub, and basically you are going to be bouncing around to various different servers, trying to hack them and do things. That being said, the main sort of constraint is that enemies can end up tracking you back, and you need to cover your tracks and make lots of money, yada yada yada. In the speedrun itself, we're going to use Revelation, which is a virus we'll be getting in the run, to destroy the internet, and that is going to be the win condition, which is the fastest possible in 90%. Here what I'm doing is I'm adding in a bunch of internal service machines, which are going to be part of the win condition. I'm going to need to corrupt 20 of these at the end with the Revelation virus. So in order to do this, I need a couple things. First, I'm going to need a source for lots of money, so I'm going to add all these banks, which we're going to be hacking 1 to 2 later on. And then I'm also going to add the social security database, which is going to help me make said money. And then I am going to add an ARC access terminal because it's required to be able to progress in the story to do so. So here's the basic concept map of the game. This is where you're going to end up spending most of your time. There I'm going to pick a very, very important starting point, that enter NIC, which is that place where I just added in all of those things. You can basically think of it as a phone book or like a contact list, a database for you to be able to look up the server IPs and whatnot. And so, however, this is also going to be a very useful thing because one of the earliest exploits that you'll learn as a casual player is that if you can end up destroying log entries, then enemies can no longer track you. However, in order to do so, in most servers, you have to end up hacking them to be able to get access to their logs. Therefore, they will trace you back and delete your account and stuff. But we don't have to worry about any of that, because Internic will just never end up tracing me back to my own gateway. They just won't. So here we have to do a test, but luckily I don't have to crack the password at all. I can just go ahead and enter on in, because the password is always Rosebud. It just always is. Cool. Okay, so doing this allows me to end up accepting missions from Uplink. This is kind of like the test mission, where we steal a piece of data from hacking their test machine. And now I have access to this mission list. However, we're actually not going to be completing any missions during this run. And what I'm going to end up trying to do is contacting these people and demanding that they pay 100% upfront. And I am going to be working my way up to $15,500, because this is going to be the bare minimum to allow me to be able to purchase the things I need to make lots and lots of money by hacking the social security database. Don't worry, it'll all make sense. It'll all make sense. I promise. So here, the world record holder currently has a 12-minute and something second run. It's very insane. This is the biggest portion of RNG, because he sort of crunched it out just from doing tons of attempts, and he says it's about a 10% chance that they will agree to give me all the money. So each time they disagree, I actually have to close out of the conversation and recontact them. You'll notice that the OK agreed and the no thanks buttons and all those are really close together, so it's very, very easy to slip up and make a mistake. Here I had kind of like mid-range RNG, I want to say, because here you're just seeing on this last one, and like half of them, they were not being very receptive, but some of them I just got like first try. So I just need one more, and then we're going to be able to purchase some stuff. So the base equipment that we're going to need to be able to make a lot of money is going to be a password breaker, which we're going to get here, a log deleter so I don't lose the game after I accelerate the time to get to the story, and then a proxy disable, which is going to allow me to make changes to like logbooks and stuff. And so the way we end up tricking the game into giving us tons of money is I'm going to connect here to the Internic to cover my trails a little bit and enter the social security database. The moment I start hacking them, they are going to start tracking me. And so I am going to actually do something bad, which is allow them to catch me. And here they are going to demand I pay them $1,000 to a very specific bank account. However, now I have information to a bank account that exists. And this is actually the quickest way to get access to account number. Because if I do not have an account number, I cannot actually hack an account. So getting this crucial piece of information is one of the biggest exploits in the entire run. And so here I ended up creating an account because my goal, bless RNG, crossing my fingers, is that this account that I'm going to hack into has a ton of money. And this is an extremely low probability of happening, and the world record does have this. And so this is the biggest potential time save in terms of RNG. The reason why I am opening an account with this bank is because it's quicker to transfer over this because the IP number is the same. And then also it's going to be quicker because I don't end up having to hack into my Uplink account, which is actually very difficult. And so here I checked the account. Unfortunately, this did not have enough money for me to be able to finish it out. I need about 300,000 to 400,000 to be able to close out the run. And so it only had like 4,000 in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to transfer 2,000 to this account that I just opened up. And then in order to cover my tracks, which I have to do very quickly, is I'm going to delete the logbook statement that we used with the things that we purchased from the software store. And then I am going to go back into my own account and delete the log. Then the last final step is I'm going to complete this Social Security demand that I pay them $1,000 by literally just sending back the $1,000 that I ended up stealing from that bank account. And this actually accepts it as fulfilling the requirements. So if we don't do this, it ends up like shutting down your account within a couple days, which is not good. Yeah. And so because we don't want to lose the run and lose the game, we end up transferring that back. Fantastic. And then I'm going to let them know. I'm just going to make sure because I have messed this up in the past. Yep, it's good. They said you are all set. And now I'm going to do the biggest exploit that like almost all casual players know in this game, which is hacking the internet. And the internet is the only server in this entire game that won't actually end up backtracing you as you're trying to hack into it. So here, using our handy password breaker, we're going to get in, and we're never going to have to hack this again, nor worry about it. And then I'm going to delete the logs so that they can't tell that I ended up using internet to be able to connect to other servers. This is just super, super classic. If I don't do this, then after a couple of days, they can actually just backtrace it all the way back to my computer, and that is a lost condition. Cool. Okay, so what do we do because that account actually just did not have enough? Well, because I actually ended up hacking into that bank account, I stole some money. This is actually a way to raise my rating. And so there you saw I had a ton of extra missions that I didn't have before. And so using this very specific mission, which is trace a recent balance transfer, this gets me access to not only another bank account number, so I can get access to that account, but it actually allows me to guarantee find an account that has a ton of money. And so this is a really nice thing because even though I got bad RNG in this run, or just not super amazing RNG, I can still always finish this run under estimate guaranteed. Cool. So here I'm going to do the same song and dance. I am going to end up making another account. And so this mission in particular, what you are looking for is to look at the statement, get the IP of the bank and another account number that is going to have the high amount of money. And then I'm supposed to hack into that account and send a name to be able to successfully do this mission. We're not going to do any of this because we don't need to. Instead, I'm just going to go to that next account and take all the money. take the huge bribe that they received. And so here, I'm going to check that account first to see if they have a ton of money. And here we see two accounts. And so here I see one at the same ping and I see one at the different one. I'm going to want to use the one at the same ping because now I don't have to backhack to another server. So here I'm just handwriting down account numbers because I don't have an eidetic memory. So I'm going to write down the account number and recognize that, hey, these IPs are actually the same. So I'm going to use that one instead. So here I'm just going to start the proxy disable. And then I am going to actually just go over to that account itself. So here from my piece of paper that I wrote down this account number that I know has 800,000 in it, I am going to end up going in and cracking it. So this proxy disable once again just allows me to make changes to the account overall. And this is literally to just delete the log after it gets made that it transferred to this account. And so after this password is cracked, Yep, nice. We can go on in. I'm going to check to make sure, yep, it still has the 800,000, and then I am going to transfer the funds to myself. So here it's extremely important. If I miss one digit here in the IP, if I miss one digit in the amount, right, if I accidentally type 8 million instead of 800,000, the transfer will fail. And as you can see, it can be very time inefficient to be able to do this, right? So boom, it said transfer was successful. Great. So once again, just the same thing with the Social Security bank account. I'm going to go ahead and delete those logs. I only need to delete one, but I did two, because I wasn't sure if I clicked the right one. And then delete the log that said I received the money. And it's not quite over yet because they actually end up tracing this back pretty quick because I've been on the server for a while. And now we are going to delete these logs to just guarantee that we do not end up losing the run. Fantastic. Great, and there it is. Okay, so now we have a ton of money. So we are going to get the most powerful gateway, which is the second to the most expensive. And this one has slots for a ton of CPUs. And so CPUs are important with the gateway. You can kind of think of it as the big rig, because the higher the number of CPUs, the faster that your password cracker can end up hacking into an area. So here, I'm just going to upgrade my modem to be able to get access to the internet faster, and then I'm going to purchase a ton of these 200 gigahertz computers. And so there I purchased 16 of them, and each one is 10 times more powerful than my starting processor. So you can imagine that's pretty insane. That's very, very powerful. So here I'm deleting these emails because it's important, because I'm going to have to respond to an email that I'm going to receive from the bad guys to be able to get access to the Revelation virus. So just deleting a ton of these emails is nice. The other thing I'm doing is I'm actually quickly going through time. You'll notice in the top left corner, the date is counting up. On April 14th is when you receive the email to be able to progress with the storyline itself. So there I am going to purchase two more things. I'm going to purchase a HUD connection analysis, which is going to be required to finish the run, and then I'm going to pick up a proxy bypass. And these proxy bypasses are just like the proxy cracker, but I don't end up having to spend time cracking into the account. Okay, so now I have the virus. So here I'm going to use the ARC. Oh no, I don't have that virus yet. Excuse me. We need to end up connecting to the ARC central mainframe. So from that ARC access terminal that we got at the beginning of the run, we need that to be able to connect, and we don't actually have to hack in. All we have to do is end up connecting to it. And I accidentally did it from the full connection, so because I did this, it's taking a little bit longer for the email to get to me. But there I receive it. I'm going to reply to them, say, yeah, I'm interested in working for you, super bad guys. And then boom. Okay. So now we are halfway through the run. This next portion takes about 10 minutes, and it's going to be a lot. So what I'm going to do is end up activating the Revelation virus version 1.0. So if you've casually played this game, you know that 1.0, it does not end up bouncing, right, between servers. So normally in the endgame, after you do a ton of missions, they end up doing research and development to make the Revelation virus even more powerful. Another company ends up trying to make another sort of antivirus that they are going to create in response to it. However, because I'm at the very beginning of the storyline, the enemy has not developed a counter virus, right? An antivirus to be able to combat this. So even though I'm running a weaker version of Revelation that does not spread between servers, A, I have more time before Uplink ends up shutting my account down, and then also B, I don't have to worry about the enemies working against me while I upload the Revelation virus. So this is both faster because we get access to start doing the win condition earlier in the run, and then also B, it pretty much guarantees that I can finish out the run because I have so much time. I have much more time before Uplink shuts down my account for betraying them. So that being said, what I'm doing each time I log into one of these internal service machines is I am going to be doing a bunch of things. The first thing is bypassing the proxy so I can turn off the firewall, and then turning off the firewall so I can upload the Revelation virus. And then last but not least, I am going to enter the console and then tell them to run the virus itself. by first going to cd usr and then telling them to run Revelation. So here, you can't actually end up uploading Revelation to banks or the Social Security system or anything like that. So it's important that I remove those from the list so that I just know. So there was actually a very important point. The connection analyzer only showed a monitor, right? So the monitor is the thing that tracks you. If you disable that, they will not backtrace you. The firewall is important, but also the proxy is important. If they only have a monitor, then it actually does not count towards the win condition for servers that are infected by Revelation. So as I'm going through, I need to make sure that I go for the servers that have the highest amount of security. Cool. Okay, so here, basically, as the run is going to progress, I'm just going to be doing this for 20 servers. It takes 20 servers, and then there's like this very audible sound. So this is going to be the perfect time for donations. Also, probably earlier in the run, we would end up doing donations as well, because if I have to go to the second bank, then it loses me like 5 minutes or so to have to do all of that. And so that would be a perfect time to read donations, because there's not as much to explain, except for how we are going to end up getting the large sum of money. Cool. Oh man, yeah, the casual playthrough. So they're just reading donations, so I'm just shooting the shit. But like, the casual playthrough of this game is actually very fascinating. You're supposed to like spend a lot more time slowly increasing your uplink rating as they like slowly ease you into harder and harder and more complex missions that require more expensive gear and higher tier gear and stuff like that. But just like literally by getting stealing a ton of money right at the start and getting access to these bank accounts allows us to like mitigate the requirement of having to do all of that on the casual playthrough, which is actually very fascinating. Oh man. Also the music in this game is so good. Cool. I think one of the most challenging things too for this run itself is not making an executional error. Like there, right? I forgot to like set up the proxy disable. I mean the proxy bypass. There I almost got the proxy disable, which would have done nothing for me, right? And then here, right? I can't upload the virus because there literally is not enough space. So I have to improvise and open the file deleter, the file deleter. But now I have the file deleter and the file copier open, right? What if I accidentally delete the Revelation virus from my memory banks? Oh no, runs over, right? So the good news is that what I can just do leading up to this performance, because it only takes like 10 minutes to do a setup to be able to get to this point, is I can just like make a bunch of files on the stream PCs themselves, and then I can just end up having the backups. So if I do forget to delete a log, right, or if I do something too slow and I end up losing the game overall and like ripping the run, then I can just have those backup saves handy. So this is a very, very marathon safe performance, even though it's a very unforgiving run. You make one mistake, it's game over, you have to start a new file. Which is also like, it adds a lot of tension in the endgame, because you have less time, right? You spend all this time like cultivating this file, like hours and hours and hours of upgrading your stature and your status and getting all this money and this street cred and stuff like that, right? And then like, if you mess up, it's just like, okay, rip. You have to start all over again. So the game, like, having these exploits and stuff, like, I actually discovered all of these things when I just played the game casually myself without looking anything up. Which is very, very interesting. And stealing the money is actually not easy. Figuring out the steps to be able to do that took a lot. Cool. Oops. Yeah, so there's a misclick. So just losing small bits of time here and there. Also, I think like something that would honestly like help a lot with this part in particular is to learn to type with one hand. Like literally writing cdusr and then run Revelation. And so here I'm just doing some cleanup because I accidentally copied the uplink test data. Oh man. looks like 13 servers, only 7 more to go. This, like, home stretch, though. It's, like, it's so tough to just, yeah, look at that. Like, just all those tiny little misclicks. And then I open the proxy disable, it's like, ow! Ah! I think the other nice thing, too, is, like, having a big source of downtime like this, especially in a performance, is that we're going to be able to prepare a lot more skits. And also just, like, very, very silly jokes and memes and stuff like that. Like, I'm probably going to bring a good number of my friends on the couch if this, like, ends up getting accepted, and we'll be able to, like, meme around and stuff like that. Talk about being elite Haxor and stuff like that. I wonder if we can, like edit game files and stuff, too. Kind of like BT did with Ah! Yeah, clicking on those things is impossible. It's a very tight click. I guess another thing that we could actually explain here is that the reason why we're also not using, like, a firewall disable and such is because it ends up taking a bit more time to set that up than literally just clicking through the admin screen to disable the firewall itself. So admin security click, right? It's just another like 4 or 5 clicks that are much friendlier. It's probably comparable overall, but it's honestly much easier for me to just go through, and it also like switches up the pace a little bit, which is nice. Alright, there we go. Another sort of like meta thing that I'm actually doing in this situation too, when I select a server to try and go to, in order to avoid servers that only have monitors, the missions that you actually end up getting initially, which make the servers green, are guaranteed to only be monitor stations. So it's very easy for me to actually just straight up avoid servers that will not have a firewall and stuff like that, because beginning of the game, it can't expect you to have the funds, the means to be able to get past firewalls in your initial missions. And so choosing the servers isn't entirely random. Alright, we're getting really close now, I think. I think my goal for a PB is probably a sub 15. I think that's probably what I'll grind out and then call it good. Alright, and... Alright, with that sound cue, time is going to be coming up. We just literally have to sit here and wait for the screen. I forgot to increase time here, and... time. Cool. Alright, so that was Uplink. It's a pretty old game. It's a pretty nice game, though. Very smooth. Even though this performance has a bunch of RNG, no problem. It's just absolutely guaranteed that I can finish a run. Like, the reason why I like this submission so much is that I made so many mistakes. I made tons and tons of mistakes. Misclicks, going to wrong servers, accidentally opening the wrong programs and stuff like that. And I was still able to finish below 25 minutes, right? So after practicing this run more, after putting in a lot more time and grinding down my PB for that good RNG situations and good execution, absolutely sub 25 is going to happen every single time, regardless of how practiced I am. But that was my submission. Thank you so much for watching, and hope you enjoy.